Back in the 50s, we'd never had it so good, although some of us had never had it at all. Great Britain was going to get greater. Everyone was going to have cars and money. So they took a load of Geordies, Scots and Cockneys out of the rundown mines and the shipyards and dumped them in the middle of green and pleasant England. They built a new town and called it Telford. Their kids were going to grow up happy, healthy and well paid, making car door seals for British Leyland. 20 years later.
Welcome to Telford The Ultimate Guide Part 7. In this special episode we are looking at Holmer Lake and the surrounding areas. Holmer Lake was built by the TDC between 1969 and 1972. It was part of a much larger drainage master plan. The lake was built on farmland owned by the adjacent Holmer farm. The farm was located between Holmer Lane and Hem Lane. After the lake's construction, a series of housing developments created the community of Holmer Lake. Holmer Lake is a very underrated lake in Telford. Just like the other lakes, Holmer Lake has its fair share of woodland and nature trails. More importantly, the lake is a balancing reservoir. This means that it is the final part of Telford's surface waters journey before discharging into the River Severn. route of the Maid Brook, which was eventually dammed to supply the reservoir. During the late 90s, essential repairs were carried out to the dam and spillway, which resulted in the lake being drained. These extraordinary pictures show an empty reservoir. The areas surrounding the lake became a hotspot for house building. The first homes were built by Tarmac Homes between 1976 and 1979. The development, called Coppice Green, featured individual houses with balconies overlooking the lake. Further land was purchased by Ideal Homes with their Holmer Park development, which was built between 1989 and 1996. It took a staggering 8 years to build just over 60 houses. In 1986, Tarmac Homes built Willowmere off Brookside Avenue. This was followed by Rushmere in 1988. Rushmere was an exclusive development of cottages adjacent to the lake. It is one of Telford's most sought after streets to live on.
Consisted of 14 individually designed 3- and 4-bedroom houses. Each house had an individual elevation, from crisp white render to aged Ironbridge brick. With just a few metres away from Holmer Lake, this really is a lakeside setting. Such a lovely exclusive development. Unfortunately, the people who were sold a dream of Rushmere were promised that these houses would never be built anywhere else, and they were individual. But no sooner did Tarmac build them than they were building them on another estate at the Coppice in Randley in Telford. But this development is a testament to cutting-edge design by a modern house builder.
Homer Lake is a beautiful wildlife sanctuary which is home to several wildlife species, including great crested grebes and song thrushes. Starlings can also be seen in small flocks feeding off the grasses. You will also see familiar ducks such as mallards, the tufted duck, moorhens and mute swans. On warm evenings you may see bats flying over the water and along the tree lines. Homer Lake also has a great network of footpaths and trails, lovingly cared for by the Friends of Homer Lake. The lake was originally built as an ornamental feature with lots of rocks on its north-east side. It once had a lookout, which has sadly now gone. Homer Lake is looked after by a caring and motivated team of volunteers called the Friends of Homer Lake. They meet regularly to ensure the lake and its surroundings are in tip-top condition. Without the dedicated volunteers, Homer Lake wouldn't be as beautiful as it is.
Just kind of getting on with their thing, yeah. So this morning we're laying wood chip down on some of the paths around Homer Lake to make it easier for people to walk in some of the wooded areas around our beautiful lake. So just as you can see here, this is what a couple of hours of work from the Friends of Homer Lake has achieved this morning. We've been laying down some wood chip and putting some logs that we found in the woodland to just edge it off, and it just makes the path look so much more nicer and accessible and attractive really. It actually promotes it as a path through the woodland, and this is one of our aims, to do this all around the lake in all the woodland areas.
Well, I'm joined here today with Connor from the Friends of Homer Lake.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank
now
you.
Now look at where we are. I can see why you come here. We've got this beautiful lake here, which is Homer Lake, as I've just said. We've got people fishing, we've got ducks, we've got swans. What more could you want?
It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
So what do you do here? What brings you here? Because I've been doing a bit of work with you guys this morning, a bit of shoveling and stuff, and what a location.
Yeah, it's absolutely great, isn't it? I don't actually live on the Holmer Lake area like most locals do, most of our volunteers do. What draws me to Holmer Lake is just the fact that it's a beautiful destination in Telford. I think it's on par with Appley Woods, Telford Town Park. I think it's one of those destinations you have to go and visit, you know. And it's the community spirit that brings me back here every single time, because you've helped us out this morning. It's just great, isn't it? Just the beautiful sun, everybody's so nice to you, and it's a great activity.
Well, I've just recently moved to Randley, so this is probably one of my closest big lakes to me. And you know, as I've walked around it this morning, you've got people walking their dogs. It's a bit of hustle and bustle here, isn't there?
Yeah.
But would you like to see more people use it?
Yes, definitely. I think many years ago, when Holmer Lake, or when the reservoir was built in '64, or around '64 anyway, there would have been more benches around here. So there would have been, I think there would have been some on the top grassed areas, in the main grassed areas. We've currently got only one bench, which me and you have sat on this morning, and that would have been an area for people to have picnics. Over the years they've been vandalised or whatever, or they've just deteriorated and not been replaced. So I don't know, maybe that deters people from wanting to do a picnic today, but we definitely want to see those kind of people come back.
Because I think there's a stigma, isn't there, about Brookside just being over the back there. But if you look for me, you can't see Brookside, and a lot of people come from Brookside and walk their dogs here. You know?
They do. Yeah, there's been over the years, there's been events such as the the unofficial bonfire that happens on Holmer Lake every year. It doesn't anymore, unfortunately. But when it did happen, people flocked from Brookside. I mean, I know there is the stigma of the old Brookside, but as you've seen yourself in your recent videos, Brookside is changing. It's getting a lot of investment. You know, a lot of new people from outside of Telford are moving to Brookside and buying homes, and I think it's, you know, that old reputation is dying away. And yeah, I don't think people need to live in fear that Holmer Lake is part of that old legacy. You know?
And I mean, as a walker, you either come as a couple or come with your dog, or you can actually you can walk right the way around it. And actually, I would say 3/4 of it is just wood, you know, green walks, wood, and you know, through the woods, etc. Some lovely little trails, isn't there? Even over up the dam, as you can walk across the dam, the wall at the bottom there of the dam, which you see a lot of walkers there, you get a great vista of the lake from there, don't you? As you come straight up.
A lot of photography is taken from that dam, as you can imagine. A lot of people. That's not an official path, but Severn Trent Water are happy as long as people are safe to use it. You know. As you said, there's a lot of little woodland walks, little trails around the lake, and that's a lot of the work what we've been doing. Like this morning, we've been working on the wooded areas, laying wood chip down, laying wooded edges with fallen down tree trunks and whatever we can find, really, to just make the trail a bit more accessible and pretty it up for people, really. You know,
and you know, I noticed today that there was a couple of people with pushchairs. It's all, you know, you've almost made it. It's all terrain, isn't it? You know, accessible for everybody.
Yeah, well, you speak to anybody from the Friends of Holmer Lake, and don't want to sound too American here, but that's the dream. We have a dream, and it is to have full accessibility around Holmer Lake.
So, what are the future of Holmer Lake? What if I could say to you, in 10 years' time, how would you look? If we were standing here in 10 years' time, what would you like to see happening here?
What I would definitely like to see is, well, 10 years' time, because of myself, my own commitments and our group's commitments, we'll be standing 10 years' time. I think I will put my hand down on it. We'll be standing here. This will be a local nature reserve. I guarantee you, I will work my hats off to making sure this is a local nature reserve. What we'll see, hopefully, is new notice boards, community interpretation boards telling you all about the history and the ecology and the wildlife around the lake. We'll see anglers on every fishing peg. We'll see families having a picnic, maybe somebody having a bit of throw ball or catch ball, I'm not sure what you call it these days. Hopefully not too many, but cars filled in the car park, you know, people happy to have the cars there. and sensible with their parking.
And picnics.
Picnics, that's what I mean. Yeah, families having their picnics.
I mean, you've actually got some
walking.
really nice green spaces. Actually, if you look around, there's a lot of grassy areas, isn't there, around? It's not short of grassed areas. So there's a lot of space to just come and relax, isn't there?
What we're going to look at doing is having some of the grassed areas bollarded off more than they are now, because a lot of the old bollards have fallen apart or just not there anymore. So they can be bollarded off, so they're safe access areas for picnics, because that's one of the main things we definitely want. Picnics, families bring them, because if you open up the facility for people to be able to do those kind of things, families will come here. Like I said, we've got the parking for you, we've got the green spaces for you. We can see a big green space just over there and a big green space here, both with beautiful views of the lake, open up lakes, no trees in your way.
So if people were to come to Holmer Lake, say a lot of the people in Telford, say Wellington, Donington, if they were to come to Holmer Lake, how would you say the easiest way to get? How do you get here?
The easiest route would be, everybody knows, or most people will know where the Shell Garage is in Sturchley Shell Garage, and that straight road that goes one way to the Shell Garage and one way to Brookside, that's called Holmer Farm Road. Holmer Farm Road, Holmer Farm Road. So if you come down Holmer Farm Road with Holmer Lake, the Holmer Lake Estate on your left, so you've come off the EP.
So that is Roxeter Way, isn't it? Is it Roxeter Way?
Firstly, that will be Holmer Lane.
Yeah.
Well, or it might actually, no,
it's
it
Roxeter Way.
Roxeter Way, my mistake.
Then Holmer Lane.
Yeah, Roxeter Way, Holmer Lane, follow the lane down, and today there's no signage to tell you to turn right at some point to Holmer Lake, but one of our aims is to have, welcome to Holmer Lane, Holmer Lake.
And that's such an easy, achievable thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You would almost think that that's not a complicated thing to ask for, is it?
No, you can access Holmer Lake via the Mallard pub as well, so you can park at the Mallard and then you can come walk over. We've got a great relationship with the new landlord at the Mallard, so that's it's two different accesses, two different parking areas to the same location.
Well, hopefully your dream will become reality.
It will.
Now, you've got a lot of volunteers that come and help you. Do you need more?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about when you meet.
So when we meet every second Saturday of every month, between 9:30 and 11:30 in the morning. We generally try to do that every month. If we can't, if it's rained off or something, we'll put it on our social media, we'll put it on our website, and if you're on our mailing list, you'll be mailed. So we meet every second Saturday of every month. We do things like litter picking. There's always a task for anybody, whether you're want to do a faint-hearted job or a heavy job. You can do litter picking, you can lay wood chip, you can lay hardcore on paths, you can install new wooded edges onto some paths. We're always looking at projects to improve drainage, because obviously we've got some ponds coming off from the primary school, etc., and where we have really boggy areas, so we always try to look at how we can improve the drainage in them areas and dry up the paths so people can access them better. We're going to start looking at projects where we're moving some of the daffodils. So we've got a new path just over on the opposite side, which we found underneath the ground from 1995. That path used to be there. It connects the communal path by the back of the school to the actual lakeside path. So now there's a connection there. But we were walking down there the other day and we thought, wouldn't it be beautiful if, as you're coming down in the spring, you had each side filled with daffodils? So that's one thing we're going to do. We're actually going to look in different areas where the daffodils are growing and they're not visible to anybody really, and we're going to dig them out of the ground, half them, put one half back in the ground, take the other half over to the opposite side of the lake. It's always something you can do. We're not just a litter picking group. If you want to get your hands dirty, I'm pretty sure I can think of something for you to do.
Well, there's an invitation or a challenge if anybody wants it. Well, thank you for speaking to me. I really appreciate that, and I hope 10 years time we're sitting here and that dream is here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm now situated between the Eastern Primary on one side, the railway to the power station on the other, and right through the middle is this swathe of land here, which is a service strip that runs kind of just at the bottom of Brookside. And this service strip has the gas mains, the electric mains and the water mains, and this actual area just behind me is where the famous water pipe burst was last year. Now, during the late 70s, as a child, the TDC were trying to get children to plant trees in different areas of Telford, and this was the area that we came and planted trees here. So a lot of these saplings, these trees here, they were getting on a bit now, were actually planted by me and my school. Now, we planted them and put a bit of carpet around them. I don't know what the carpet was about, but around here, this tree is absolutely beautiful. Just look at it. It's perched over this pool. Now, we used to call this the secret pool. Not too far away from Holmer Lake, but there used to be, you can just about see it here, a little wooden jetty there. Now, this used to have quite a big jetty that used to come out onto this pond where you could do some fishing, etc. But look at it now, it's been completely abandoned and it's more like a swamp than a pond, but it was one of these places that we came and played. And if you see this tree, this is absolutely huge. I can't even put my arms around it, it's that big. I wonder how old it is and how long it's been here for.
As previously mentioned, Holmer Lake is a balancing reservoir. It handles huge amounts of water every day. The dam ensures your water level is kept at an optimum level. Water enters the lake via 6 individual culverts, 2 of which are trunk sewers from Stafford Park and Randley. In 2012, the lake was tested to capacity and a freak storm generated flood conditions in Telford. But thanks to the clever TDC engineering of the 1960s, the dam was built to withstand such an event. In this footage, you can see the Holmer Lake dam walls being breached and the spillway full to capacity, creating a lake on the Halesfield floodplain. It should not be overlooked how dangerous this lake can be in flood conditions. It has a job to do, and that is to ensure Telford streets and roads don't suffer from flooding. Holmer Lake is a real jewel in Telford's crown for lakes and pools. Why not come down and take a look for yourself? In 2018, Holmer Lake hopes to become a nature reserve. Please support this initiative. Thank you for watching Telford, the Ultimate Guide.